Hey everyone, quick update. It's been a few weeks, so a few changes on the pond, nothing hugely significant temperature wise at the minute. Just to start, we're sort of 19 degrees, the bottom is the air temperature in the shed here, and 18 degrees is the pond, so not bad. I do have the covers off. We'll go out there in a second, but it is absolutely miserable, so we'll give it a second in here. Um, I was up over 20 degrees with the covers, took them off last weekend. It dropped down a couple of degrees, which was kind of to be expected, but not an issue at all. And I've also started up the back again, so you may notice the pump on the right hand side, 22,000 litre per hour, is now running, feeding the back of the pond, and I'll show you that in a second. So the far pump there is the pump into the main pond, and the near one here is the pump into the back pond. Also, since I started feeding, I've turned up my trickle in, so it is now at 0.42 litres a minute, which is in or about 4,000 litres a week, which is about a 20% or so water change. So that's pretty good. The other thing that I've noticed as well is I've been testing the water every few days. I started getting nitrite again. Those of you who've looked at previous videos last summer will notice that pretty much throughout the summer I was getting nitrite, around the 0.25, nothing hugely concerning, but not unexpected, because the filter would have been up and running about a year last February, and I suppose not maturing until about May or June of last year, so it's running just over a year. And I'm not heated, so I don't feed during the winter months, but just a bit annoying. I thought I'd got to that maturity stage, but doing a bit more reading, it just takes time, and it can take a year, several years before a pond filter is fully mature, just to turn off the UV. One other thing I've been giving consideration to, you'll notice I have my UV, it's an 80 watt. It's in one of the outlets before the drum, which I don't use. And you can see it here in under the drum. I don't have a light here, but you should be able to see the bulb of the UV. It's an 80 watt, so it's very long. You can possibly see the other end of it there. The problem, and I'm probably worrying too much over it, is there are slats there. It's a combi filter. The bio is this side, as you can see, but there are slats there into the bio, so there is some UV light getting in there. But you can see here with those pieces of media, they're not really moving, so it's not as though all the media is cycling through those slats there and getting zapped. And I'd imagine for it to impact it, you would want to be fairly close to the UV. I just was doing a bit of reading up on that to see if it was potentially an issue, and have any other people put UVs in the drum of a combi bio, because they all would have, for the combi drum, because they all would have this problem that there has to be openings for the water to pass into the bio chamber. Not a lot about it. There was one of the forums, I think somebody asked where's the best place to put a UV on a combi, and someone said, oh, put it on the dirty side, don't put it in at the drum because light can get into the bio chamber. Nobody actually responded to it or whatever, but I did check with the manufacturer, and they said they know a lot of people who put their UVs like I have and don't have an issue. He said a couple even put them in the bio chamber. Now I find that bonkers, and I couldn't see how you wouldn't have a problem with a UV in a bio chamber. But you can see there is a bracket for UV on the dirty side. My problem is, I think the 80 watt UV is too long. I'd have to get a 40 watt. My Ballast is 40/80, so all I'd need to do is get a new quartz and a new bulb. And to be honest with you, the reason I went for 80 watt, and I think I said this before, is because the price differential was minute, and I said, oh well, to hell, I may as well get the 80 watt. But now with the whole cost of electricity and so forth, and if I don't really need an 80 watt, I'm kind of thinking maybe when that bulb goes, I'll just get a 40 on a sports sleeve. That would allow me to put it in on the dirty side. The only thing put it on the dirty side is that the drum gets quite dirty quite quickly. It gets covered in that sort of browny algae stuff. I'll give it some thought. My gut is if the UV's having any impact on the filter maturing, it would be absolutely negligible. I'd say it's purely the fact that it's not running long enough. You're used to looking at biochambers and see that media is generally a lot darker than mine. And I had 100 litres in there of media from last February of last year. I only added another 150 there. When was it? Was it the end of the last year? Of course the filter wouldn't have had any food to mature it. So anyway, just thoughts. But if you have any thoughts on filters maturing, I don't have really any other media at the moment other than my plastic media. If you have any thoughts, let me know in the comments. Does plastic media take longer to mature? Do others maybe not have issues because they have backy showers and ceramic media and others? Unfortunately, not an option for me at the minute. I'm not mad on backy showers. I've said before, it doesn't suit my pond. I was thinking maybe of a rotating shower, and I could put it in here, maybe in that corner if I shorten the shelf or so forth. But anyway, probably not at the minute. Has it stopped raining? It is. Let's go out to the pond. So as I say, first thing you'll notice here is we did add garden furniture. Haven't had a chance to use it, but we did add it and put it together, and it just gets rained on. But this is Dublin. Pond, I have to say, is looking well. It's nice and clear. The water through the glass, I find it looks a bit cloudy. I don't know what it is, the reflection, and it was more so with the covers on, and maybe just because the covers had less light in the pond. But when you turn off, if I turned off the the spin drifter and the waterfall, which I won't, you can see a bit there. The water is fairly crystal clear. I have to say I'm very happy with the drum. I was looking with interest at people with Tempest and all the rest, and Steve Wainwright did a fantastic job on his, and it's fully automated and all the rest, but I'm not going to go down that route. I really don't think I need it. I just fed them, so there are a few solids floating around in the water there, but it generally clears fairly quickly. The fish themselves are all great. This Matsuba still has the koi pox, although the carp pox, it has lessened, but it's very slow. You know, I wonder if it's an immune issue with that fish. I don't know. There was a little bit on the chagoi. You can't see him there. I don't know where he is. But his seems to have more or less cleared up a bit on the tail. He's down there. You can just see him. At the bottom, he's coming up now on cue. He did have a bit on the tail, but it seems fairly largely gone. It is gone completely. Well, not completely. You can just see a little bit on that side. So the pond wintered fairly well. I did put a net on, and by the way, what I did get was somebody mentioned, and I can't remember the name in one of the comments, because I had these big clips on here holding the net in place on the window, and it looked horrible, and people said, God, it looks horrible, and they were right. So somebody said, why don't you get some sort of, the edging for a shower door or something. Now I did look into that, but the problem was that my glass is 25.5 mil thick, so way thicker than your average shower door. So I scoured the internet, but did find on eBay a place that had this truck, what was it, edging or something, or finishing. It's like what you find a seal on a car door or something like that. But anyway, it fitted 25mm and it fits perfectly. You can see it's much neater, holds the net in place, so I'm really happy with that. It was only, I think, I don't know, bloody fish. It was only about I think it was only about €30 or something like that shipped, but it took about 3 months to get here. I think it came from China or Taiwan or somewhere, but I didn't care because it was over the winter and I wasn't going to use it. Spin drifter, mentioned before, turned up the air, getting nice even bubbles across it. Mentioned before, I was getting less bubbles on one side than I was the other. I was concerned there was a blockage, but I think it was just I don't get enough air. I've got 2 pumps running now. I've one pump, one going into split in 2, feeding the biochamber and then feeding the spin drifter. But since I added the extra media, it wasn't churning. There wasn't enough air pressure to churn the extra media, so I had to revert to 2 pumps. So I have a 70 litre an hour on this, and I have 130 litre an hour on the biochamber. Also, if you remember the way I had my covers, one of the covers slid under the spillway, and during the storm it lifted that end of the spillway. So before I started going again, I had to re-silicone down that side, which is grand. It's not the most even thing. If you look back at my videos when I did this, one thing I didn't, that's made just out of a sheet of acrylic, and then I got some edging, I think B&Q or the likes, the right angled edging to create the edges, and it works well. That far side isn't great. I'll have to look at it and I'll show you. There's a drip, and there's a drip coming down there as well. I don't know whether that's water getting in under from the side, from the end and dripping down, I don't know. But anyway, it gives a nice effect. If you look at it side on like that, it's not perfectly even, but generally look at it down there and it looks fine. But I did glue it down and it's fine. The only thing is with this, the effect is that while acrylic was a good idea and it was a lot cheaper, because I did price getting a stainless steel one custom made. Any ready-made stainless steel ones I saw just aren't the right size. That's 88 centimeters wide. It was going to cost about €250 to get it made, and I made that for around €80. With a lot of that acrylic left over, I had to buy the full sheet, but I made it for around €80. So happy with the result, and just Tech 7'd it in with black Tech 7, and black Tech 7 on a black pond is very forgiving. Black pond is up and running again. I do have my Alpha Grog baskets in there for additional, but I wasn't using this, as you will remember, during the summer, so they were just sitting in there in a bit of water. So I'd say any bacteria that was in there died off, so they should probably mature again, but I may as well have something in there. I will get a few lilies for here as well. Plan to get them. There's a leaf in there, that's the problem. Don't have a skimmer on this side of it. I planned to get some last year, but it didn't happen. This here, these marks, you see they're worse in some places than others. This is where lime came down from the mortar under the cappings, and I might just try. I was reading there, somebody suggested trying baking soda or something like that, so I might mix up a bit of paste with that and see. Another option is just to sort of sand it down and maybe apply some of the fiberglass coating. I don't know, you can see, but you can see even in general the water's quite hard in this area. Well, I'd say it's moderately hard, and you can see there is a fair bit of calcification on the wall there on the white. There's not much algae here because it hasn't been full of water. I'd say here, you know, certainly around the tops, and I did do some cleaning, there is a fair amount of calcification. But talking about calcification, I have been checking my KH. My KH all since I started up the pond has been fine. It's always around 5 or 6 German degrees. But I've noticed in the last few days it's been down to 4, and I've been trying to buffer it up with a bit of sodium bicarbonate or baking soda or bread soda, whatever it's called. I put in about, I'll just go back in here and show you the bag. I think I put in about, is it half a kilo? And it's made very little difference now. It's a 20,000 plus litre pond. It's this stuff here. Yeah, 500. So I put in a bag of that over the last couple of days, and it's handy because I can drop it into the back and it just dissolves slowly and then goes over the waterfall into the pond. But it's not making as much a difference. I suppose in that, you know, it's not going to make a huge amount of difference that quickly, but I'd rather bring the KH up a bit. It's not dangerously low, but I'd rather have it up around the 5 or 6 where it should be, and not take any chances with it. And the heron scarer is back. Again, I got this on eBay. I think I've linked, or not eBay, Amazon. You can hear it click there. There's no water on it at the moment. I'll just show you how it's set up again, but it's just a sensor and a valve in it, and then it sprays water if it senses anything around the pond. So I do have this water timer. You'll get them in B&Q, or that is a particular B&Q branded one. But I just have it timed, I think for 5 o'clock in the morning. It comes on for 4 hours, so it feeds it, and that's when the heron generally appears. I've said before, I know people don't like nets, but we live very near an estuary here, and herons are just a fact of life. We get them. Now I have to say, since sort of June, July last year when I fitted that joke, we haven't had a heron. I've plenty of video of herons at the pond sitting around here, and they'll sit there for a couple of hours and just wait for their chance. So the only picture I have since I installed this is the camera gets triggered by movement, so it's not on all the time, is a heron's feet disappearing as he flew off. I mean, I think even the noise would probably put them off if it wasn't shooting water, but it does shoot a good spray of water. In fact, I'll demo it, try and not drown myself in the process. Just turn it on manually here. Just, now, there you go. And I am getting around it, and it squirts the water. A little bit of water goes into the pond, but not when it's chlorinated, obviously, and it still spits a bit there, but that's it now. The water's turned off again. So it is very effective, I have to say. The only annoying thing is that there's no timer on the unit itself, so it's continually clicking as you walk around, but you do kind of get used to it. There's a tap at the back there, obviously, with the timer, and I have a hose under the gravel running through here and into it. I did have to mount it up here, which is a bit agricultural looking, but there is a stake on it there, and it is designed more for a ground level natural pond, where it would maybe be staked into the ground overlooking the pond. That wouldn't work for me with the walled ponds, so I've mounted it up there, but wouldn't trust it enough to take the net off. And then there's also the issue with potentially with fish jumping that I'd be concerned about. But that's it. If you have any questions, let me know, but just thought I'd post that since the covers are now off. Delighted to get the covers off and be able to enjoy the pond, and hopefully we get the weather. Yeah, that's typical Irish garden furniture and an umbrella. Hopefully we get the weather to enjoy the pond a bit more. We have cushions and all for this, but they're in the shed, not where they should be, and we'll be able to sit out and enjoy the ponds over the summer. So thanks, and I'll talk to you again. Cheers.